everybody, and welcome back to another episode of From BA to Broadway. You know who it is? It's me, it's Brennan, and it is, of course, Wednesday, which means we're bringing you In the Spotlight. But first, I'm coming at you with your general programming reminders. Folks, every Monday we are here with the main episode. Every Wednesday we are here with the mini-sodes. Speaking of which, I, of course, am not here alone. I am, as always, joined by the loyal, the faithful, Mr. Daniel J. Solly. Danny, what is going on?
You know, that is what everyone says about me, the loyal, the faithful.
Yeah?
Yeah, put it on my grave.
Oh my god. You got it, actually. I'll pick a really nice font.
Oh, I'm so happy I got my little Diet Coke.
Yep. I have my little, my cherry ginger ale. I'm really loving these things.
They're good.
Yeah.
That was good. That's a good find.
Folks, Canada Dry, Fruit Splash, Cherry Ginger Ale. Delicious, like a Shirley Temple in a can. And this is not even sponsored, but Canada Dry hit us up.
It could be.
Danny,
Yeah.
what are we talking about today?
You tell me what we're talking about today.
I will tell you what we're talking about today. We are talking about my all-time favorite musical. It is indeed Hair. Hair the Musical. Good times. Crazy show. Have you ever seen it?
Yes, I saw the 2008 Broadway revival.
I could not be more jealous.
We saw it as a whole family.
I genuinely could not be more jealous. But what a weird show to watch with your family.
I know. Yeah, we were, it was a good time.
How old would you have been? You would have been what? 14?
It was 2008, right?
Did I do that math right? No, I did that math very incorrectly.
Like 13, 12, 13?
Okay.
Yeah. I
Great.
have a chill family. It's fine.
Great.
You
I
know.
love that.
I remember with like the nude scene happens and then it's like intermission because it's like the last thing of the first act. And I don't remember like which of my siblings were like, oh my God. And we were all like, okay.
Love that. Okay, let's freaking dive into it. Danny, Hair the Musical, book and lyrics by Jerome Ragney and James Rado, music by Galt McDermott. Hair was the first rock musical, and it was in terms of the genre being a real thing. It was what really defined the genre. It was lovely. It was created by the two book writers to kind of take a lens on the hippie counterculture and sexual revolution that was going on.
Were they hippies themselves?
I would say they had hippie tendencies. They were both actors in the city. They had met doing a show together. And then they kind of came up with this idea of theirs. So yeah, they were checking out all those love and power things of the 1960s. And it was a little risque at the time in its pre-Broadway situations, or at least throughout the nation. Maybe not so, God bless you.
Thank you.
Maybe not so the theater community, but you know, it sure does glorify drugs and sexuality and anti-American government stuff. And, you know,
it is kind of crazy to think that this show like ran in the 60s.
Truly.
In a public forum.
Yeah.
You know, in this way.
It would be one thing if it was a look back on it all, but it was truly done in real time happening.
Yeah.
So in terms of a plot, I always say that this is not really a plot-based musical. I very much consider it a theater experience. It does kind of have a through line. So it's essentially about a tribe of hippies that are living like their little bohemian lifestyle in New York City during the time of the Vietnam War. So you got this tribe. It is led by this guy named George Berger. He is a kooky banana kind of man. And that tribe just kind of practices their little political activism by protesting the war that's going on in the conscription.
Because it's the Vietnam War. Right?
It is the Vietnam War, yes. Which, for those of you that don't know anything about the Vietnam War, really bad time.
It was in Vietnam.
Yep, that's so true. Great job, Danny.
Okay, thanks.
So, yeah, they're just out there trying to spread their ways of peace and love. You kind of follow through the story of Claude, who is, you know, it's tricky because a lot of people call him the main character, but I would say him and Berger are kind of featured in different ways. Yeah. Because Berger is the leader, but Claude is more of the lead in terms of the structure of the show.
Don't they kind of represent the two differing paths that you can take? Essentially?
We'll get there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It is A-okay. So
sorry, I forgot you were driving the bus today.
It is okay. I got you.
Brennan's fave. You know it's Brennan's fave musicals when he's driving the bus.
Absolutely. Choo-choo, motherfuckers.
Patti LuPone never touched the score. I don't care about it.
Oh my God. You never know. She probably loved this shit. So you're following Claude's story as he's a member of this tribe, but it is his time to be conscripted into the war. So he kind of has to make this decision whether or not he wants to stand by his principles and the tribe, or give in to all that societal pressure and his family pressure and end up serving in the war. And in the end, that is what he does. He gives into the draft and ultimately is killed in battle. Womp womp. The musical itself, it features a bunch of iconic songs. I was just talking to my mom earlier and I was like, did you ever even see the movie? And she's like, nope, I don't know anything about it. And I was like, Age of Aquarius, Let the Sun Shine In. She was like, I know those songs for sure.
Yeah.
Like those were songs of our time, but no, but.
Were those songs written for the show, or were they popular songs?
They were written for the show.
That then entered like the zeitgeist of pop music.
Correct. And then they ended up becoming like anthems for the anti-war peace movement, essentially.
Yeah.
So everyone kind of picked right up on that, and you know, it was everywhere. It was everywhere. It's on every like 60s, 70s radio channel.
Everyone has a cover of it.
For
Everyone's
sure.
done it.
Of course, of course. So our dear friends Rado and I hope I'm probably not pronouncing these right, so I'm just going to acknowledge that. Rado, and Ragni. Excuse me. They were performing in an off-Broadway flop back in the day called Hang Down Your Head and Die. And they became besties, and they started writing this piece of which Berger and Claude were based off of them. They were autobiographical characters, and so Ragni was Berger and Rado was Claude. And they created this world and the rest of the other host of characters based on people that they were seeing on the street doing all of these things, and then also some fictional aspects that they made up. But I have this quote from Rado that in terms of the development and stuff, but he was like, there was so much excitement in the streets and the parks and the hippie areas, and we thought if we could transmit the excitement to the stage, it would be wonderful. We hung out with them and went to the be-ins and let our hair grow, and that's exactly what they did. They started participating in the hippie culture to do all of their stuff. Be-ins was kind of a protest concept. It's like a sit-in. That's the only thing in my brain is like sit-ins that people would do in college. It's that kind of situation. And the show itself in the original Broadway production featured a be-in at the end, so the audience could come and join them on stage for the final number.
I think that's kind of the standard of the show. If I remember correctly, that's what happened in the revival as well.
Love that.
Right?
Yeah.
They like invite everyone to dance on stage with them. It's
I know. I didn't get to see it. I'm sorry.
Well, for those of us who did see it,
So these lovely creators started pitching it to Broadway producers, and believe it or not, it was not very well received by those people. And eventually they were picked up by a fella named Joe Papp, who
love Joe Papp.
He ran the New York Shakespeare Festival, and he wanted Hair to be the show that opened the Public Theater, which was still under construction then. But Gerald Friedman was brought on to direct, and he felt that Rado was too old to play Claude at the age of 35, but Ragni was fine at the age of 32 to play Berger. So that's what happened. And the production process was a shit show, to say the least. It was a mess. And Friedman ended up walking away during the last week of rehearsals. And Papp ended up giving the director position to the choreographer, Anna Sokolau. And after their absolutely horrendous final dress, Papp got on his hands and knees and begged Friedman to come back. And he did. He came back, and then Hair opened off Broadway in 1967, and they had a 6-week limited engagement. The lead roles were played by Walker Daniels as Claude, Ragni as Berger, Jill O'Hara as Sheila, Steve Dean as Woof, Arnold Wilkerson as Hud, Sally Eaton as Jeannie, and Shelley Plimpton as Chrissy.
That is crazy. I did not know that Jill O'Hara was in the original.
She sure was.
That's wild to me. She was in the original Promises.
I don't know the show, if I'm being honest. I don't know Promises.
Oh, that could be another episode.
You should have seen the look that was on his face now. For everyone else that was like, I've never heard it, you would be shocked to see how shocked he was.
Promises?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about it next.
Sorry. So the show it had a mixed reviews in this off-Broadway phase, but there was a Chicago businessman named Michael Butler who had seen it. And at the time he was running for Senate on an anti-war platform.
Enter Hair the Musical.
He became a co-producer, And he brought the show to a discotheque on 53rd and Broadway called The Cheetah, where they continued their off-Broadway run and they ran another 45 performances. And that was kind of its pre-Broadway life.
I didn't know that they had both the public and another off-Broadway run. I thought it was just
I don't know.
public to Broadway.
The Cheetah, really, it could be considered off-Broadway by today's standards.
Consider that off-Broadway.
Great.
They continued their run.
I agree. So, yeah, that was actually quite successful. And then after The Cheetah, the show went through like a big renovation. Like they really changed a bunch of stuff. There was no nudity in either of the off-Broadway productions. So that was something that ended up being added in. Yeah. So, oh my God, there we go. So it's weird that they made the book even looser than it already was. The plot was already scarce and they made it even scarcer, but they wanted to make it more realistic. And they added a couple more songs. They added Let the Sunshine In to make the ending more uplifting.
Interesting that, like, I feel like Hair is known for specifically Let the Sunshine In and that nude scene.
Yeah.
And those are both two things that were not in the original inception of the show.
Exactly. So they added director Tom O'Horgan and choreographer Julie Arenal, and they were the ones who decided to incorporate the nudity after seeing some good old nude protesters in Central Park.
Because it happens. It's real.
Exactly. They were there to express their defiance and their freedom, and they said, let's put it in there, get it in there.
Didn't they get an extra 75? Like, you're not required to get fully naked as a cast member, but if you did, at least in the original run, you'll get an extra like $70 a week.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's like a little bump.
Interesting.
For nudity.
Is that equity rules?
I don't know if that was an equity rule, but that was kind of like the deal. They were like, you don't have to get fully naked if you don't want to, if you're not comfortable. But if you do, you'll get more money.
And you know what? I think we all know what a starving actor would choose. And that's neither here nor there.
Would you?
What?
Would you?
I would.
Interesting.
I would be wildly self-conscious, but in that kind of context, I think I could be down with the cause and the tribe of it all.
Okay.
But anyways,
you heard it here. If you give Brennan enough money, he'll get naked for you.
That is, listen,
that's
only in the context of Hair the Musical.
No, that's what you said word for word.
Okay.
You can't take it back now.
I'll take it, whatever.
It's a binding contract.
There we go.
Keep going.
So Michael Butler, our dear businessman, running senator friend, he became the sole producer. Pap had stepped away, and he was eventually able to secure the Biltmore Theater for the show's Broadway opening just 3 months after, in April of 1968. So in this production, Rado and Ragni did end up playing their respective leading roles. They were joined by Lynn Kellogg as Sheila, Lamont Washington as Hud, Sally Eaton and Shelley Plimpton reprising their roles as Jeannie and Chrissy, Melba Moore as Dion, Steve Curry as Wolf, and Ronnie Dyson, Paul Jabara, and Diane Keaton, all in the ensemble.
Yes, that Diane Keaton.
Literally that Diane Keaton, folks.
That one.
How freaking crazy.
Isn't that nuts?
And she later went on to play Sheila as a replacement as well.
Yeah.
And then among the other performers, there were folks like Ben Viren, Keith Carradine, Barry Maguire, Ted Lange, Meatloaf, the Meatloaf.
The things I would do to see Meatloaf in the original run of Hair.
Literally. Lala Brooks, Mary Seymour, Joe Butler, Pepe Castro, Robin McNamara, Heather McRae, Eddie Rambo, Vicky Sue Robinson, Beverly Bremmers, Burt Summer, Dale Soulace, and Kim Milford. So they really pulled out some of the stops in there for those names that were yet to be discovered. And this Broadway opening was actually received extremely well. A lot of critics thought it was so fresh and new, and it was a hit. So after that was Tony seasoned, and Hair had a little lawsuit situation with the Tony Awards because they had been assured that with their previews being when they were, it would put them in the pool for that Tony season. But then the New York Theater League declared Hair ineligible, and they moved the cutoff date. They moved the cutoff date because of that. So the producers bought suit and they didn't win. And so they were in the next season, and Hair was nominated for Best Musical and Best Director, but lost out to 1776, which is
fascinating,
devastating. But it ran for 4 years on Broadway.
I mean, Hair is Hair. It didn't need the Tony to be Hair.
That's exactly right.
I guess it's similar to like Wicked,
Hair's in my brain. Hair is the Rent and the Hamilton of, I think, that kind of generation. I feel like that's what really started it all.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say so. Right down to, public to Broadway pipeline.
There
It
you go.
originated that model that Hamilton followed.
And you know what?
How many other, Suffs is right now the example that public to Broadway.
The proof is in the pudding.
It's the one. It's the one.
It's the one. But it ended up after that, when the rights were released for like licensing and stuff, it had a crazy regional theater life. And immediately right afterwards, there were 9 regional theaters simultaneously doing Hair. And then there were several national tours, but that was also dicey because a lot of venues in the South refused to let them come play there.
Naturally.
Believe it or not. But we had a lovely little West End run in 1968.
We don't talk about the West.
I don't know why you say we
You're
don't.
very
I don't know
strict
why
about
you
that.
say I don't talk about the West
You're
End.
very strict about that.
Well, you know what? I don't know. Y'all heard me here. I think this is authentic. Whatever.
No, do your West End run.
That was it.
Okay.
That was just all I had to say. You know? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. In 2001, City Center did it with Idina Menzel as Sheila.
Yeah.
Very of the time.
She's saying, well, that's easy to be hard, right?
Yes.
Yeah. They're not going to give Idina Menzel like Frank Mills. She's obviously
well,
gonna sing
no, she's
Easy
not
to
going
Be
to get
Hard.
Frank Mills. Of course not.
Idina Menzel herself does not sing Easy to Be Hard.
That's exactly right. In 2004, the Actors Fund Benefit did a production in the New Am. And you ready for this cast? We had Shoshana Bean, Raul Esparza, Jim J. Bullock, Liz Calloway, Gavin Creel, Eden Espinoza, Harvey Firestein, Anna Gasteyer, Annie Golden, Jennifer Hudson, Julia Murney, Jay Rodriguez, RuPaul Charles, Michael McKean, Laura Benanti, and Adam Pascal.
Are you telling me that Raul Esparza got naked on a stage for me to see?
I mean, listen,
I wasn't there.
Whether he wanted that extra $70 or not is his prerogative. Also, this was just it was a one-night only show. It was just a benefit, so I can't imagine that everyone was getting naked out there.
I wonder if is that where Laura Benanti and Stephen Pasquale met?
Maybe.
Because they were married.
They were what?
Married for a while.
Yes, of course. And then after that, we started getting into a lot of the modern day Hair. So we had the 40th anniversary production at the Public. I'm sorry, it was by the Public, but it was at the Delacorte.
Love the Delacorte.
Starring Jonathan Groff as Claude and Will Swenson as Berger. Yeah.
What a duo.
Truly.
Jonathan Groff and Will Swenson.
Mm-hmm. And then
Interesting.
That good old production transferred to Broadway for the Broadway revival. It opened in March of 2009. And our cast included Gavin Creel as Claude, Will Swenson as Berger, Casey Levy as Sheila, Megan Lawrence as Mother, and Sasha Allen as Dion. So that is kind of the production that I am most familiar with. That's kind of how I stumbled into it all and started discovering this show. You, of course, have your movie that was based off the musical, which is nice that it was happening that way back then. That was released in 1979, and it was choreographed by Twyla Tharp, and they changed the plot a little bit to make it more cinematic. The show also, the Broadway production, OBC, won the 1969 Grammy Award for Best Score from an Original Cast Show Album. And then our revival of 2009 won for Best Revival, of course.
Gavin didn't win. He was nominated though, right?
Gavin was nominated for lead, and then Will was nominated for supporting.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Annalie Ashford was in that revival too. I think she replaced Casey Levy.
Gotcha.
And Rachel Bay Jones. And do you know Josh Lehman?
Mm-hmm.
He was in that revival too.
Interesting.
He was Margaret Mead.
That checks.
Yeah, he has a podcast. Sorry, I don't mean to talk about other people's podcasts on your podcast.
We're here.
He has a podcast. It's so long ago that I heard this story, but I think this is like a tangent, but he tells a really inspiring story where like he was in New York for years and years auditioning. Wasn't getting anything, was really down on himself, was like, I was one audition away from leaving the business. I was going to go to law school. I had my whole life planned out for that. And he booked Hair. Like, that was like the last audition. And he was like, because he is, he is a larger actor. And he was like, I got this audition for Hair. And I was like, who's gonna put me in Hair? I don't belong in that show at all. Yeah. And he was like, fine, I'll do this one more audition and then I'll quit the business. Whatever. Yep. I'm not right for the show anyway. and he booked it.
Which is amazing.
And that was directed by, wasn't Diane Polis directed that?
What a nice break to get when you're right on the verge, but also Hair of all things. To then jump into that story must have been so transformative.
Yeah, especially when it's a show that you don't think
Yeah,
you like have a place in.
of course.
I wish, because I saw the 2009 revival, I wish that I was like older. I was too young to like take it in, I think.
For sure.
And I don't know if I saw it in 2009 or maybe like more towards the end of its run.
Yeah.
So I might not have seen Gavin and Will do it. I might have seen whoever replaced them.
Got it.
But maybe perhaps, because The Hair is a show I've never cared about.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, oh, it's Hair.
Yeah,
Maybe because I saw it when I was so young and then I kind of wrote it off because I like I couldn't take it in a way.
For sure.
And then I was like, oh, that's an uninteresting show. But really, I was just 12 and, too young to really appreciate the show.
100%. I saw Hair for the first time when I was 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
A friend of mine was doing it at a professional theater company in Martha's Vineyard. So me and some friends took a trip to see him, and I was sitting there during the first act. This is also when I was like straight-laced, goody two-shoes, Brennan, Stefanik. And I was sitting there during the first act, and I was like, I have no fucking clue what is happening here. I don't know what's happening. And the man next to me overheard us talking, and he was like, the thing about Hair is you're not here for the plot, you're here for the experience. And I was like, I don't know what you mean by that. I simply started doing theater 2 years ago. I have no clue what you mean by that.
Anytime I go on a bad audition, that's what I'm going to say to the casting director.
It's not about the plot, it's about the experience.
It's not about the plot, it's about the experience.
Amazing.
And they're like, yeah, this is a terrible experience. So
yeah.
Like, thank you for your time.
Amazing. Thank you. I'll keep an eye on my email. But yeah, so then I watched the second act and I was like, oh, okay. No, like I get this now. And I started listening to the music and I was like, okay, no, this is really cool. And then I smoked weed for the first time and I said, wow, I get it.
Like you smoked weed because of the show?
No, once I had started smoking, drugs are bad, kids, weed is fine. Once I started participating in marijuana, I started listening to this amongst the times and I was like, wow, okay, now this is a feeling, like this is a vibe, this is even just listening to it an experience.
What about the show speaks to you? Like, why is it your favorite show?
Well, I think
feel like it is in my view, it is so off-brand of you to have this show be your favorite show.
Wow, okay.
In the way where it's like, what's my favorite show? Gypsy. My favorite show is Gypsy. My favorite show of all time is Gypsy, and that I feel like that is very tracks for me.
Of course,
right?
Of course.
Like I would never guess that your favorite show is Hair.
Heard. Well, I appreciate that. I'm a wild card. You never know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay.
First of all, it was definitely that experience in that theater where theater really became more than just a story, more than just people saying lines. Like it was people being people in a way that I had never really seen theater be, It wasn't so much playing characters as it was playing real people just existing, which sounds so hippy dippy and weird. But
no, I'm just imagining you sitting in that theater singing People from Funny Girl.
Oh my God.
It's people who need people.
It is.
Are the luckiest people in the world.
They hippies. And yeah, that was just so magical for me. And it kind of is what really started the ball for me being serious about pursuing theater as a career when I started to learn about the options that you could have and like the impact that theater can have and that kind of stuff. And then I went to this very artsy school. I shouldn't say artsy, but like artsy area in Western Mass for school. And it was just kind of falling in line with everything was this show that I would always come back to and be like, wow, no, this feels like it's right on par with my life and what I want out of it and my art and that kind of stuff. So that's it. There it is.
You've never done Hair, have you?
I have never done Hair yet. And
you really want to.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to be in it so badly, for sure. And it'll happen. And I think it'll happen soon.
Why?
I don't know.
Or you're just manifesting?
I just got the feeling in my gut.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought you have like information.
No.
You're like, there is this production that I have a callbacks for right now.
No.
You mean you're like, you want it to happen.
I'm feeling it on the horizon.
I love that.
Thank you.
I mean, it's a show that is done. You know, it's not a show you have to like sit and wait for someone to do, at some point.
For sure.
Like, you're going to have the opportunity to audition for it and do it.
I think once a year, at least someplace will be doing it, you know?
Oh, 100%.
So, yeah, I would love to do like a site-specific production, like outdoors or something, or something in Central Park or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that would be really cool. And yeah, I really just want to be a part of, I just want to be a part of that,
Yeah.
you know? So
You should put one on.
I'm not going to do that. First, I would like other people to tell me that I can do that. And then like, I want other people to tell me that I am good for this and a part of this and whatnot. And then after that, then we shall see.
Why do you need other people to tell you that?
Because I'm needy and I'm still trying to prove myself.
Imagine if Lin-Manuel thought like that.
Imagine if Lin-Manuel was how you said that name.
Lin-Manuel thought like that. What would happen?
Well, you know what? I'm sure he felt it at some point in time before he started doing his own thing, but...
That is so funny because when was I senior or junior? I think it was a senior, and that was one of our shows for the semester was hair.
Amazing.
And everybody was freaking out. Everyone was like, "Oh, I have to be in hair. I have to be in hair. Oh my god, how do I like?" Because you would I think we would do like 3 or 4 shows a semester, and you would audition for all of them, and you would usually get cast in like one.
Yeah.
And so everybody was like, I have to tailor this audition to hair, blah 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 blah. And I was so like, I'm good. Like, what are the other shows? Like, I don't care about.
Heard.
You know, like you don't need to consider me for hair if you don't. I don't feel the need to be in hair.
Gotcha.
Which is just like so funny.
That is so funny. Well, you know what?
And it was a good production. I saw it. Obviously, I saw it. All my friends were in it. It was a cool. It was in the round and like a little black box, and it was very like they were coming up to the audience.
Amazing.
And they were in there with the. I mean, someone had to get a note. Because they licked an audience member and that wasn't kosher.
Understood.
People get too into it a little.
Of course.
Calm down.
Yes.
Stop.
100%.
So that did happen, but it was a great production. It's cool. It's a cool show in the way I would liken it to Godspell in the like. There's a lot you can do with it. There's a very loose structure.
I don't really know Godspell.
You don't know Godspell?
No.
I think you would actually really like Godspell.
I probably would.
Oh, we should do Godspell as an episode. I love Godspell. And I would liken them similar where you can... It's a very malleable show. I feel like it's like you can put a concept on hair. You can have hair anywhere. You can do it in any kind of theater. Like any form of theater. You're like, oh, hair could work in this kind of theater. Yeah. We can make it work. It's like a loose kind of structure like that.
Heard.
So I think hair is a really cool show. I would love to see like a professional production now.
Yeah. Would you ever do it?
If someone cast me in it, yeah,
for sure.
I would do it. I'm not like opposed to the show.
Yeah.
It's not a show I'm chomping at the bit for, though.
Understood.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You'd be a very great Woof. That's a great role for you.
Which one's Woof?
He sings the song Sodomy. He's howling. He is kind of like, I would liken him to like the priest of the tribe, essentially.
Okay. I'll ask my friends who
did
did it in our college production, and then I'll decide if I'm offended or not that you just said that. I guess I could be Woof.
I would say you definitely could.
That's my new dream role.
There you go.
Love it. Me and my friends call it... Have you ever experienced that thing where there's a role or a show that's not really on your radar or whatever? Yeah. And we call it like the drop of validation. And it's like the second either you get like an unexpected callback for a part, or even like a teacher in class would be like, oh, that's a good part for you. Suddenly it becomes your personality. And you're like, I was born to play this part. And it was like last week, I didn't even think about this show. And this week, it is my hyperfixation, and I will play this part before I die.
That was me in Dogfight. I had never seen the show before. Yeah. The theater they had a call for that and The Little Mermaid. So I was gunning for The Little Mermaid, of course, and I submitted for both. I sang this song from the show that they needed me to do, and then that was that for months. Completely forgot about it. And then I got that call and I was like, oh my God, this is my show. I love this show.
Oh, and now you're obsessed with the show.
I mean, no, just because of the experience, I do enjoy it. But I still think Dogfight is a weird one that I don't know why so many places tend to still do.
Well, that was like Book of Mormon was never on my radar. Never cared about it. Like I liked it, but I was never like, oh my God, this is a great show. I need to be in a show. And then in college, there was like an open call and I went. The only reason I went is because the person I was dating at the time
Of course.
was going, and I was, he like was like, do you want to come with me? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Like, we'll hang out, we'll go together. And that was the only reason, because he was like, I need to be like a tap dancing Mormon. And I was like, okay, like you do you, whatever. I'll come along and sing a funny little song. And I got a call back for Let's Cunningham. And I did not go far, but like, it was my first Broadway audition, my first Broadway callback. And it, to this day, it's my go-to song.
Of
like,
course.
I was like,
Sure
I was born to play this role.
And you know what? You were.
Thank you for letting me know I was born to play this role. And now it's my personality needing to play this role. Whereas like a week ago, couldn't have like drawn that out of thin air that I should play this part.
Well, listen, there aren't a whole lot of resources out there for folks to learn about all of these shows in a digestible 30-minute format.
God, I hope someone does it someday.
Yeah, me too. Anywho, yeah, amazing show. I love it. Are we putting songs from it in our book? I would say
you could. For a long time, this was also kind of, there's a thing that happens when you're in college where you get assigned songs, and they'll be in your book for a really, really long time, and then eventually you'll be like, wait, that shouldn't be in my book.
Yeah,
someone assigned it to me. I got Life Was in My Hair was in my book. And my hair.
Life was in my hair.
Life Was in My Hair. I know that song, so I sang that song for like that was like my assignment for like a full semester. I didn't even realize at the time that that's Gavin Creel on the soundtrack, because I listened to it so many times. I feel like you could find songs for this in your book.
I think you could. I think it's one of those ones, though, where because the plot is so skimpy, it's not doing you so much favor as an actor song, but...
It's true, and I think... Oh, I guess you're right. It's a great score, and everyone loves the score, but also you could probably find a better rock song.
Yeah.
That's not as like, we all know Easy to Be Hard. That doesn't need to be in your book.
Yes.
But I will say, like, I know this girl in my class had Aquarius in her book, which is like basic song,
Of course.
But the way that she would perform that song, and she would like, this is just like a perfect example of this, where she would just, I think she was really good for hair just for the show, and like her voice, like she would just wail. Yeah. She would wail on that. And she would sing it for casting directors, she'd sing it for directors, anyone who was like guesting on her class, and they would be like, oh, lead with this song whenever you go in any room, anywhere, for anything, like, and so who am I to say it shouldn't or shouldn't go in your book, because that could be you on a song in the show.
I think the key with this one is, which is, I will not say for every show, I think this is one where you need, if you connect with the material, you should have it in your book, just because if this is who you are, this is the show to do it. This is I am going in, I'm singing hair, and the casting directors, if I'm doing it because I'm passionate about it, will know, like, that's who I am.
And I'm thinking of like I Got Life, if you like, in the way that Gavin Creel had that like spark, that like instant lovable, like he had life.
100%.
He was like that. I could only imagine him singing that in a small room.
Sure.
And if you have like that kind of a spark, you should lead with that song. You should sing that song for everything.
Like, here's the thing, y'all. If y'all have ever heard Donna, if that doesn't make sense to you, then...
Is that a song?
Yeah.
In the show?
Yeah, it's the second song. It is...
You know what my mind just went to.
It is very cuckoo. I know exactly what you're...
I've heard Donna Murphy.
Friend of the pod, Donna Murphy.
Of course I've heard Donna Murphy.
Stupid. Yeah, it's just like the music is written in a very specific way for a very specific group of people to appreciate. And if you find yourself in that group, I say put it in your book. And if not, I think there will be other things that service you way better. And that's on that. Any closing remarks?
No, not about the show. I mean, I think now I kind of want to see it.
Yeah, we'll see it. We'll find some production to go see. Yeah, folks, get out there, go see hair. Please be responsible in all things that you do in life as much as you can. Be safe when drinking and doing drugs and all of that stuff. And yeah, go see hair. It's a blast. And that's what I got for you, folks. If there is a specific show that you would like to hear us talk about, you can do so by finding us over on Patreon. That is patreon.com/BA to Broadway. All of our principal tier subscribers get to choose the shows that we are talking about. So come find us over there. Also, if you may have noticed, there are now ads in some episodes, and you can get ad-free episodes on the Patreon as well. So if you refuse to fast forward, if this is just a principle that you cannot stand listening to ads, then get on that Patreon. God bless you.
And good night.
And also, folks, once again, a reminder that Apple has these weird new fees. So if you are doing anything, I recommend you, this is for anything that you would pay for on your iPhone, I recommend you go and you do it on your laptop. You can do it on a MacBook because Apple is charging these weird fees that are just making things so much more expensive. So especially with Patreon, make sure you do that. Folks, as always, you can find us on most social media platforms at BA to Broadway. You can find me at Brennan Stefanik.
And you can find me at DSauls.
And until next week, folks, bye. Say bye. Daniel, say bye. Say it. I'm so upset. I'm sorry, everyone.
Bye.
Ha! I left it recording. From BA to Broadway is created, produced, and edited by Brennan Stefanik, music by Dylan Kaufman, and cover art by Jordan Vongsithi.